It's Labor Day. Folks are out, they're barbecuing.
Very loud, went on for hours and hours. Fueled by copious amounts of alcohol.
There was a lot more verbal abuse being hurled towards the Woodward home.
Horrible abuse. Horrible abuse.
And these people f***ed with me and f***ed with me and f***ed with me and f***ed with me and f***ed with me.
He used to walk up and down our street with his dog, with his gun on his hip showing. He would tell us that he would kill everybody in the house.
If you watch the video, this is when Woodward leaves his house, but you can actually see him low crawling.
That's something you would envision out on the jungles of Vietnam.
I kept low crawling. Okay. I was on a military mission. I was going to end this war.
The next thing you note on the surveillance camera is somebody running into the view of the camera.
I need someone here now. My husband's outside bleeding to death. My boyfriend is shot. My roommate is shot. He's outside still shooting. This guy is crazy.
You know his name?
Yes, I do. It's William. I know that's who it is.
Technology upgraded.
To record what they do.
These videos are a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Turn around. Hey, 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 hey.
You're on the camera. We know the answer.
That video is the best evidence.
Titusville is on Florida's Space Coast.
The Kennedy Space Center is directly across the river from us. So when you think of Titusville, you think of rocket launches. And we have a lot of them.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Artemis 1.
To be able to say that you work at the Space Center or work at the Cape, that's something that folks take a lot of pride in here.
What is your full name?
William Theodore Woodward.
He had been working at the Kennedy Space Center where he'd lost his job. He was an Army veteran, and he claimed to be a combat veteran with traumatic brain injury who suffered from PTSD.
Your home address?
1960 Smith Drive, South.
Mr. Woodward and his wife and their children lived in the home, and they had lived there for quite a few years.
If you look just above where the door is there, that's where Mr. Woodward had his surveillance camera mounted, pointing across Lane Avenue toward the Hembry house. That's where Carrie Hembry and Roger Pichor lived. Then the house next door to that, which is 1940, that's where Bruce Blake lived.
See, we've been tormented for the last month by these people, and they just made our life a living hell.
You and your mom and your daddy.
His neighbors and their wives and family members were antagonizing Mr. Woodward, yelling things across the street.
Horrible abuse. Horrible abuse.
And they were targeting me specifically because they know I'm a disabled veteran.
You, Billy. Plastic G.I. Joe.
They called him a plastic G.I. Joe, called him some pretty bad expletives.
At one point in time, Bruce Blake's wife, Carrie, told Mrs. Woodward that she was going to have people sodomize the Woodward's daughter.
As a father, you have no idea what that does to a man's mind.
That's correct. I don't. I can imagine.
I can't even tell you. The day she made those threats, I was so enraged. If I could have got my hands on her, I was going to dismember her and disembowel her. I even told her, I'm going to disembowel and eat your guts.
There are no adults here. There are no adults. So it's tit for tat going back and forth. He would get up in the morning, put on camo fatigue pants, a shirt that said Army on it, and he would sit out in front of his house in a lawn chair. giving the finger to the neighbors as they're driving by.
He would tell us that he would kill everybody in the house, including the kids and the animals. He used to walk up and down our street with his dog, with his gun on his hip showing.
So let's start with today. You said that your neighbors had started a war with you. Can you explain that to me?
Oh man, it goes all the way back to August 5th.
August 5th. What started August 5th?
Well, August 5th I learned that my daughter's birthday present had been stolen off our front porch by Gary Hembry's daughter, Destiny. Destiny's a little hellion.
I was 8 years old. Nothing like that ever even happened.
When I found out that the property had been stolen off my front porch, I called for a police escort because being a combat stress brain damaged veteran, I'm less likely to blow if I have someone as a mediator to help keep my temper in check.
Most of us were familiar with the neighborhood dispute that was going on. Several officers had responded multiple times in the past few weeks to quell verbal disturbances between the neighbors.
This is a simple fix. You know, this is what we do as law enforcement. So the officer took Mr. Woodward across the street to the neighbor's home.
So when we went to confront Gary that morning on August 5th, it was a Sunday, I believe, he just got all bent out of shape and exploded on me.
William came to our house and said something to my dad about it, and my dad told him he didn't know what he was talking about, and he was offended that he said that and told him to leave.
Mr. Hembry became irate and started yelling and screaming, and the officer realized then this is a bigger problem than I thought.
Prior to the missing birthday present episode, these people were all friends. They all got along, their kids played together.
Gary and I did have a working friendship for many years.
What changed that?
Him smoking pot in front of the kids. So what we did was we forbid my daughter to go on his property, in his house.
As soon as they started not talking to each other and not being friends anymore, us kids just stopped playing with each other because of them. Like, they didn't want us to, so we didn't.
I'm just tired of my family being tortured by these people.
At one point, Mr. Woodward had gotten chickens in his backyard. He claimed that the chickens were therapy chickens for his PTSD, and the Hembry family made a complaint to the city about the chickens, and so the chickens were then removed. And that further degraded things.
I just went over the deep end. That happens when I get pushed.
Sure.
I snap. They get drunk, they get stoned, and these people f***ed with me and f***ed with me and f***ed with me and f***ed with me and f***ed with me.
Listen to me. Now look
Wouldn't
at me.
stop.
Look at me.
At one point in time when some of this was going on, and you can even catch a little part of it on one of the surveillance videos, Mr. Blake attempts to de-escalate the situation, saying, hey, look, this is getting out of hand.
I apologize for what I said, man.
To which Mr. Woodward just doesn't respond at all. Culminates with them all going to the courthouse to get injunctions against each other, the judge saying no. Out in the parking lot, it escalates to physical confrontation between Mr. Woodward and Mr. Hembry.
Billy attacked my dad in the parking lot and beat my dad up.
Mr. Woodward was arrested for that.
My dad had a seizure, and Billy went to jail for a night. My dad was definitely scared.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
The Hembry household and the Blake household were having a party, yard party, that was very loud, went on for hours and hours, was fueled by copious amounts of alcohol.
There was a lot more verbal abuse being hurled towards the Woodward home after the sun went down and the alcohol levels continued to rise.
At one point in time, if you look really closely, the video has Mr. Woodward and his father out next to Mr. Woodward's truck. You can't hear what they're saying, but you can see Mr. Woodward, Dad, gesturing with his hand.
Mr. Woodward had voluntarily given all of his firearms to his father for safekeeping.
In the interim, his father furnished him with another firearm.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember leaving your house tonight?
Vaguely. I exited the rear garage door. I immediately went into what the military calls a crouching stance.
Okay.
And I used my truck for cover so they couldn't see my movement.
This is when Woodward leaves his house and goes out into his yard.
They didn't know where I was. I was wearing my camouflage jacket and I had my camouflage pants on. Like I said, Dub, I'm a soldier. I fight to win.
Okay.
This is war to me.
You have to look real close, but on the surveillance video, you can actually see him low crawling.
I crossed my sidewalk on my hands and knees. As soon as I got to the grass, I instantly got as low as a snake.
When we watched the video, it was shocking because we've never seen anything like that.
It's something you would envision out on the jungles of Vietnam or, in the deserts of Kuwait.
I low crawled past my truck. I was on my belly. My FS Beretta was on my right hip.
Okay.
My extra clip was in my left pocket. And if you've never been in the military, you wouldn't understand the low crawl, but you basically slide your head and face across the ground. And you maintain as low a profile as humanly possible.
At what point did you stand up?
I didn't.
Okay.
I kept low crawling. And at one point they turned on the surveillance lights and it just drove me into a rage. I was already over the edge and I just couldn't control myself.
So what did you do next?
I kept low crawling.
Okay.
I was on a military mission. I was going to end this war.
How long did you sit there and listen to them when they were shouting?
For minutes. I waited for the lights to go out.
Okay.
When you hunt down an enemy, patience is a virtue. If you have no patience, you're not going to make a good soldier. So I waited for the lights to go out. When I got to the corner of the house is when I charged.
The next thing you note on the surveillance camera is somebody running from the front corner of Hembry's house.
You have to have ferocity and speed and accuracy when you rush your enemy.
The video catches him running up to Roger Pecor.
And when I rushed up, Roger's son was on top of him. They were wrestling. Roger's son jumped off his back when he saw me, and I shot Roger in the torso.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Look, my boyfriend is shot.
Are you with him right now?
No, he's outside still shooting. Everybody, I can't go out there. I can't.
There's still shots being fired right now?
What? Get over here. Okay. Get over here. Get under the bed.
I heard Bruce Blake say something. I followed him to his garage. He tried to go inside the door. I put rounds into his torso until he slumped to the ground.
Everyone's being shot outside. I need someone here now. My husband's outside bleeding to death.
Okay, you said your husband's outside?
He's laying on the ground with blood all over him.
Gary come out of his garage and said, "What the hell's going on out here?" And I had a clean shot at his chest, and I put one dead center of his chest. He slumped to the ground, and I shot Gary Hembry twice in the head, and then I walked back over and saw Roger, and in order to make sure there are no survivors on the battlefield, I point blank shot him in the head once or twice.
He came up and shot him even more. This guy is crazy. He's wacko.
Okay.
I'm telling you. I'm scared for my life right now.
Do you know his name?
Officer Albert. Yes, I do. It's William. I know that's who it is.
He had 2 full magazines, and he emptied both magazines during the shooting.
I did not go back and finish the job for Bruce Blake because I was out of bullets.
Okay, so you ran out.
31 rounds.
Okay.
2 15-round clips and 1 in the chamber.
And you ran dry.
Ran dry.
After he shot these 3 victims, one of his other neighbors came out of the house and saw William Woodward and said, "Are you okay?" And Woodward replied,
Get my for you. Get him up. Get him up.
Now the war's over.
Is it?
I promise you, those people will not harass my family or me again. The war is finished. I can sleep in peace now.
The scene was pretty graphic. There was a lot of blood.
I got 8 pieces of brass over there. Look at here where the bullets are going through there. I found him laying right here, shot in pieces.
Lights are flashing, multiple first responders. One of those cases where it became all hands on deck, respond.
Mr. Hembry was deceased at the scene when our officers arrived.
Mr. Peacher had been transported and Mr. Blake had been transported. Mr. Peacher did pass away later at the hospital. Mr. Blake received extensive medical intervention but did survive.
So the first officer that arrived on scene encountered the suspect. He actually got on his knees, put his hands on his head. He surrendered to the officer.
I am on Smith Drive in reference to a shooting that has just occurred. 1 white male detained.
I'm a combat veteran with brain damage and I just snapped. I couldn't take it anymore. They declared war on me. And I'm a soldier, and soldiers fight to win. So I fought the war, and I ended it tonight.
Well, what I want to do is talk to you a little bit more about that. I know that Corporal Anderson read your Miranda rights,
Yes,
but I'm
ma'am.
going to read them again, just
Yes.
that way there's no question that you understand, okay?
I gotta remind you, I'm tired.
I understand, me too.
Being that I have brain damage and suffer from combat stress, I'm heavily medicated.
Mr. Woodward was calm with me, very conversational. He, in a way, almost seemed resigned, as if he understood that this was a normal part of the process.
Ma'am, I apologize for my language, but now I'm getting upset.
You don't have to apologize to me. You're speaking from the heart.
No, I'm getting upset. I'm getting upset again.
Just because remembering it?
I'm having flashbacks.
Okay. Well, do me a favor. Take a deep breath. Try to focus on the sound of my voice.
It's very sweet.
Well, thank you. I do try. Just try to stay in the here and now with me as best you can, okay?
From that point forward, it became very apparent that Mr. Woodward wanted to tell his story. He seemed proud of the fact that he was the shooter.
I have no regrets.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that.
I was protecting my family.
I understand that too.
He absolutely felt that he was righteous in his actions. He felt that it was justified, suggesting that this was a war that he had to fight and that this was the enemy very much was key.
Before you left the house tonight,
Oh,
to go do what you did, okay? What you told me that you've done. How long did you sit there and plan it out and think about it? Did you give it much thought?
no.
Okay.
I'm a soldier. I'm prepared to fight 24/7. Especially with them having me amped up all the time. I carry pepper spray, I carry a K-bar. I mean, I've always got to watch my back now. I mean, I got to have a weapon with me of some sort all the time. So I'm on high alert 24 hours a day. I've honorably served my country. I was honorably discharged. I went to war with brain damage.
Yeah.
I didn't skip the war. I didn't skip out on the war. I went and I come back and I'm treated like this by civilians who never even wore the uniform?
He never had actually been in combat. He was never in combat, ever. He worked in supply or some administrative position like that, and yes, he was in fact stationed in Iraq. The only brain injury he suffered while he was on active duty in the service was when he was in Japan, and he had fallen off some scaffolding. If you reviewed the records, you'll find that the only residual effect of that injury was he lost hearing in one ear. That is a far cry from, I'm a combat injured. I mean, it's a whole scenario that he created.
I see a psychiatrist all the time.
When was the last time you saw your psychiatrist?
Just last week.
Do you take your meds regularly?
Yeah, I have to, because, like I said, I'm bipolar. I got a serious case of post-traumatic stress disorder. And if I don't take it, my brain damage is severe enough that, well, put it succinctly, dying's easier than living.
It's the whole bit, traumatic brain injury, blah, blah, blah. I believe he was under the belief that by claiming he had PTSD and the traumatic brain injury and that whole thing, that this was going to be a free shooting for him.
You'll see that I've lived my life as best as I can.
I don't think there's any doubt.
I've never been a violent man. Even when people have pushed me, I've always turned the other cheek, because that's what God says to do. Turn the other cheek. Tonight, my brain broke.
No, like you said, you snapped. I think that's a pretty accurate word.
I fought the war that needed to be fought.
He thought we would let him go because we would see from his point of view that this needed to happen, and that was not the case.
I don't want to go to jail for this.
I understand. Look at me though.
I don't deserve jail for this.
There was no question that Mr. Woodward needed to go to jail that night. For me as a detective, the case was just beginning.
So what I'm gonna do is have you raise your right hand for me.
Did I incriminate myself enough?
Here I was faced with a complete confession by the defendant and the crime being recorded on camera. The grand jury came back with a presentment of indictment for 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder. I told the defense attorney that we would be seeking the death penalty if it went to trial, but that we were willing to take the death penalty off the table and negotiate a plea resolution. His response to me was that the defendant was not interested in any pleas, and the only thing the defendant wanted was that we should drop all the charges and give him his gun back. My reaction was, this is a joke, right? What happens next is we get a motion from the defense in which they're claiming stand your ground immunity.
It's a very controversial law that says if you believe that you are in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm, that you can respond with either the threat or actual deadly force.
No matter how much abuse and nonsense and horrible things the victims had shouted at him, the circumstances of what Woodward did not meet the criteria of stand your ground. He left his own property, crossed a public road, went onto the property of the victims, executed them. That is not what stand your ground is. But, hey, we'll have a hearing and we'll see. It was during that stand your ground hearing that the defendant testified.
William Theodore Woodward.
It, in effect, was like a mini trial.
They wanted to get me to fight so that they would have a reason for me to go to jail.
How are you feeling at that point?
At that point, pretty doggone scared, because I just heard Roger yell, "Come on out, bitch!" I'm not ready to die at this point. I'm staying in my house.
At any time as you're watching, did you hear something that led you to conclude that they not only had a firearm, but they were doing something else.
Yes, sir. Right after this, I distinctly heard 4 cracks of a .22 automatic firearm. Bang, bang, bang! Coming right at my window.
He claimed that he heard what he believed to be shots, but police have later said the only shots that they got any calls about were the shots that Woodward fired in that neighborhood.
Describe to the court what you heard and perceived and what you thought was occurring.
Gather weapons. Come on, let's get up. Let's go do this. Let's end this. It's a gathering of the forces that caused me to snap into action and do what I did.
Is that where you were at that point in time, where you're in war?
You doggone right I was. War had been declared upon my house and family and myself. Now I'm the only living link between my wife and children in imminent death. I'm the only living link that separates them from a horrible death. Do you not understand that, sir?
As a Vietnam era veteran myself, it was too contrived. Okay, it immediately sounded to me like this is a contrived story.
So you weren't just shooting them because they were harassing your family?
No, sir.
You weren't just shooting them because they were saying nasty things about you and your family?
No, sir, that's not a reason to shoot anyone.
When you heard the words, "let's end it," or words to that effect, what did you think they were about to do?
Cross the line and do something bring my life to an end.
Was there any way that you were going to let them get to a point where they could physically harm your wife and children?
No, sir, I was not. I was not going to let them get to my family.
Did you have concerns that that's where they were going and what they were going to do?
Absolutely, sir. In that point, they would have to step over my dead body to do it.
I've handed the witness.
Cross.
Mr. Woodward, this was a military operation as far as you were concerned, correct? He almost went catatonic. He just sits there and closes his eyes, and I have to 2 or 3 times say, "Mr. Woodward."
Mr. Woodward. One moment, please. Let me gather my... Sir, this was not a military operation. This was just me observing and placing myself between them and my family with military training to back me up. This was not a full-scale military operation as you see it, sir.
Well, you told the officer that you were back on the battlefield.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how much time did you spend on a battlefield?
Actually, on the battlefield.
Yes, sir. How much time did you personally spend in infantry combat on the battlefield?
Infantry combat?
Yes, sir.
0.
On cross-examination, I got him to admit that he'd never been in combat. The defendant also conceded that the way he carried out the executions were in fact a war crime. Did the military train you to stand over the wounded, helpless enemy laying on the ground and shoot them, execute them?
No, sir, they didn't. And yes, you are correct. That is a war crime by the Geneva Convention.
The judge gets to decide, under the facts and under the circumstances, does a defendant have immunity from prosecution? And that is a legal question. The judge rightfully denied that.
This defendant did not stand his ground. What he did was to preemptively strike at his victims at a moment when it was entirely unnecessary to do so.
They didn't have any immunity under the law, but they still made their case that this was self-defense when this case went to trial.
You let the community decide what they think of this. That's what a jury trial is all about.
I'm just getting word that the William Woodward case is live in the courtroom. It's a death penalty case. Woodward does not deny that he opened fire on these 3 neighbors, but he's claiming self-defense.
For an accused murderer, William Woodward had a whole lot of support. There were a lot of friends and family in that courtroom.
Opening statement on behalf of the state, Mr. Resmus, you may proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Woodward describes himself as a warrior in this thing, that the people that he shoots are his prey, and that he's at war with them. He'll concede that they were unarmed. When you see someone walk around to yell at his house, and they do, they say things about his mother, they say things about his father. They called him a plastic G.I. Joe because Mr. Woodward identifies with the military. And they were definitely insulting towards him. But it's not a situation where these people were anywhere but over in their own yard, minding their own business. And you'll be able to see him run through the light, and then you'll hear the gunshots. Well, I ask you to pay close attention to the evidence in the case and do justice, whatever that is. Thank you very much.
Opening statement on behalf of the defense.
Court, counsel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. This trial is not going to be so much about what was done, but why it was done and whether or not it's justified. It wasn't just an isolated person challenging and threatening his family. It was a mob across the street that were all joining in escalating. The evidence is going to show that Mr. Woodward was aware of the fact that they had access to firearms. Roger McCord identified himself on his Facebook page with this picture of him pointing an AK-47 at the camera. That was his identity photo on Facebook. If you follow the law, a person is entitled to use deadly force, and the law makes no distinction between 1 gunshot or 31 to prevent the commission of aggravated stalking. Now, Mr. Woodward knew he could not rely on law enforcement or the system to protect his family. And he acted because he had that. The evidence will show he was justified in what he did. He is not guilty of any crime. Thank you.
All right, let's bring in Bruce Blake. Good afternoon, sir.
Bruce Timothy Blake is on the stand. He is a shooting victim.
Full truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Tell us what you remember.
I walked in, got a cigarette, and I come outside and made it almost to my truck. And I heard the first shot, and I looked up, see what, then I heard 2 more, and I started feeling them. And then that's when Billy was just standing there shooting me.
Your wife made threats against the children of Mr. Woodward.
Yeah, she had said something to the effect about one of Billy's daughters.
Okay. And was it a threat to have the daughter raped by a man?
I think so.
There is no justification whatsoever for the conduct of the victims. None.
If you would please state your full name.
Barbara Ann Woodward.
Thank you. You may inquire.
Thank you. Mrs. Woodward, would you tell the jury what your relationship is to William Theodore Woodward?
He's my husband.
Now, tell me about the threats that were directed toward your children by this gang of people.
Carrie, said that she would Carrie said that she would rape my daughter up the ass. And she said that she would have all the neighbors participate. And that she would burn down my house.
Do you recall whether or not anybody else in this group made any similar comments or threats?
Yes, Roger said. I can still hear their voices screaming at me in the street. And he said, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. She said she would pay people if she had to. And Billy kept saying, leave my daughter alone.
I had sympathy for Mr. Woodward, but that's not the issue. The issue is, does that give him a legal right to commit murders that included outright executions? No matter what they did, and I do not, under any circumstances, condone or justify anything of their actions, but they didn't deserve to die for it. They didn't deserve to die.
We are continuing our coverage in the William Woodward case out of Titusville, Florida. Today, there are going to be closing arguments in this death penalty case.
This was a case that captured a lot of people's attention. I think it's the idea of this neighbor against neighbor situation.
The issue for you to decide is the motivation for the defendant going over to the people who were shot residents and killing them the way that he did. And none of what I'm talking about condones the behavior of anyone in this case. I mean, frankly, but for the killing, it comes off as something of a Jerry Springer show, the way people are treating each other. This didn't have anything to do with self-defense or justification, and it had everything to do with anger, ill will, malice, retribution. He was a vigilante, and he was going to dispense the justice that he thought was appropriate to these people that he considered to be prey.
Well, this isn't the Jerry Springer show. This was a crime. It is not in dispute that Mr. Woodward shot those 3 people. It's not in dispute that he killed 2 of them. What is justifiable use of force? That is the core decision for you to make. If he had intended to go out there with a fully formed conscious intent to commit murder, do you think he wouldn't have had enough foresight to turn off the camera? He believed that the camera was his ally. We have proven beyond any reasonable doubt that Mr. Woodward was justified in defending his family. And the state has not proven, and indeed cannot prove, beyond a reasonable doubt that he was not justified.
All right, juror number 104, has the jury reached a verdict as to all 3 counts?
Yes, ma'am.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant, William Theodore Woodward, is guilty of second-degree murder, discharge of a firearm causing death. As to count 2 of the charge, guilty of second-degree murder. As to count 3 of the charge, guilty of attempted second-degree murder, discharge of a firearm causing great bodily harm.
He was charged with first degree. The jury went with second degree. What do you think happened?
You still have to do it intentionally, but the difference here situates on whether it was premeditated or not.
It's a verdict with which I'm totally satisfied because we knew there was no way that jurors were not going to be, in my mind, as repulsed as I was by the conduct of those victims. But the jury believed what we believed was that it didn't justify homicide.
We have survivors and relatives of survivors that wish to present. The first person is Destiny Hembry.
It's horrible how much his death has already changed us and is going to change us more. I lost so much that day. I lost everything. I hope knowing the effect that this has had on me will help you make the right choice.
I wanted Billy to know that when he took away my dad, he broke my whole family in every way.
Your Honor, all too often bad things happen to good people. That's what's happened here. However, there's another side to this situation I'd like to remind everyone here about, and it's the indescribable harassment that Billy and his family had to endure.
The court finds that the defendant armed himself, then crawled across the street and fired 31 bullets at his neighbors. That is not an unsophisticated manner. The court imposes the following sentence. I will adjudicate Mr. Woodward guilty and order him to serve life in prison.
Under Florida's 1020 life law, if you commit a murder with a firearm, it's life, you're gone. No parole. They poked the bear once too often. But the bear is just acting under raw instinct. Mr. Woodward was a human being who knew the difference between right and wrong.
This is a guy that we grew up around. That's very scary for anybody. My dad was very loving and kind and did not deserve what happened to him in any single way at all.
It's really a shame because at one point, all of the people that we're talking about were friends. In about 1 month's time, they all went from getting along, being good neighbors, to the worst of enemies.